Hey, what's up, brothers? This is Corey from Lion Dads. It's my first video. I just want to use this as a chance to introduce myself. Use this opportunity to share my story, uh, particularly my diet history, how I found the carnivore diet that ultimately changed my life. Hoping maybe to reach out to some other dads out there that need this change in their life, that are dealing maybe with some weight, some health struggles, and are looking for a way to take their health and their life back through a quality diet and get their bodies right for their future, the future of them and their families. So, first off, I'm going to talk about my history with food. Um, Growing up, I was always a food kid. I always liked good food. I liked fast food, typical American kid. Pizza on Friday nights, watching a movie, drink a 2 liter of Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper or something. Going to fast food, eating with my friends. I grew up in a border town. Mexican food was a huge part of my life growing up. Uh, it's a big part of the culture down there, and I lived on Mexican food. We have the best Mexican food in the world where I'm from, other than probably the authentic stuff in Mexico. So, growing up, just had all the different foods you could want, delicious. Became a foodie, always called myself a foodie. And when you're younger, maybe it's not as much of an issue because your metabolism's good, but as you get older, quickly it starts to add up and old habits build up and cause problems as you get older. I carried over into my adulthood. I also got really fond of the craft beer scene. I always loved drinking craft beer, dark German beer, just dark beers in general, drinking lots of it, watching football games, hanging out with friends, going to breweries. That became a huge part of my life, especially in the last 10 years or so when I hit my 30s. Um, so couple that with all the food, all the food truck scene growing up around the country is now becoming a big thing. They got all these awesome foods, just tons of options you could ask for, and I would just eat. I'm a bigger guy, so it's easier for me to put on weight probably than a lot of people. I got a big frame. I'm almost 6'3". Uh, I have gotten almost as heavy as 290 pounds, just under it. Got a big frame, so I loved working out when I was younger, lifting weights and stuff. Hated cardio, always hated running, which was ironic because I joined the military and they'd push running on you as part of the PT program. But I always hated running. I always hated biking. I always hated that. So I love swimming. That was always a big one for me. I was a swimmer when I was younger. But, I love to lift and I was able to put on muscle really easy, but I can also put on fat really easy. And when you put that on with a bad diet, you're going to add a lot of weight. Uh, I joined the military out of high school, and over the years that adds up. You get a lot of injuries, a lot of wear and tear on the body. So even though I hated cardio, I always kind of grinded through it as part of my career, and it just got to a point where I had a lot of issues keeping up with that. Also, early on, traveling the world, you're eating delicious food everywhere. You're partying with people. You're eating a lot. You're raising a family. You're doing all this different stuff. The lifestyle just gets out of control. Um, I had 2 kids early on in life. I got married young, had boys, put on the sympathy weight. We had 2 kids back to back, 2 years apart. I would put on the sympathy weight, have a hard time getting it off, go on a deployment. Uh, wasn't the whole plethora of food available to me, and I'd be working out. So I would just assume that I outworked my diet, come home in great shape, and then within months be fat again. And then PT test time would come around. I would work to try to get the weight down, barely make it, sometimes not make it, but I would usually typically barely make it to where I could pass. I could barely do the run, barely do the tape measure around the waist, the whole story, and just get out of shape. Let myself go, just always constantly letting myself go, then try to outwork it in a short span of time, and it's just hell on the body. It doesn't work. So eventually it all catches up to me. So I finally got to a point where it just wasn't sustainable anymore. The injuries would add it up. My diet didn't help the injuries heal at all. I ended up having to get out of the military about 8 years ago. And what happens when a lot of guys get out? They immediately get fat. And I got fat. I got really fat. I ballooned up, like I said, almost 290 pounds at some points. I'd hit a certain point and be like, oh my God. I'd end up having to drop weight because I was panicked, and I'd get down to like 260, 265, trying to eat right, count calories, the whole deal, and then go back into old habits, balloon back up again. It'd just be worse than the last time, until eventually I got to the point where I was almost 290. I was a little over 285. I would bounce between 285, 290. Never went over 290. So 2017, I got to a point where I got to do something. I got to quit doing this. I've got a horrible relationship with food. I don't know what to do. I can sit and eat a ton in a setting, so what needs to change? And I started doing a little bit of researching and stuff, and what I would find online is the big thing was calories in, calories out. You need to be consuming less calories than you're burning and you'll lose weight. So I was like, okay, I will just start counting calories. That way I can still eat all the crap that I like to eat. I'll just eat less of it and lose weight. Which I learned over the span of a year that that's not sustainable at all. Not for me. So being a big guy, I just cut my calories down. I'd get down, started out about 2,700 calories. I'd lose weight for a little bit, and then my metabolism would kind of level out, and that would keep me at the same weight. So then I'd cut like 200 more calories off. Get down 2,500 calories. I'm eating a lot of vegetables, a lot of oatmeal. My mornings would consist of an oatmeal, overnight oats with a little bit of whey protein, some peanut butter in it, some oatmeal. I'd use the MyFitnessPal tracker, the whole shot. So I would just count calories. I did that for a good long time. The whole course of like 2017, just counting calories, dropping 200 when my metabolism would level out. And I eventually got down to a point where if I was eating under 2,000, or I would be eating 2,000 calories and I wouldn't be losing any weight. And I was miserable. I was just absolutely miserable, pissed off all the time. I really wasn't getting enough protein, I realize now. I was more concerned about the calories back then than I was the macros. I was still trying to get protein. I was swimming a lot to try to be able to eat more. And that would just, but I was tired all the time. I was always tired. I was always lethargic. I had a lot of stomach issues from I was getting way too much fiber, I think. I was eating really low fat. I had no energy. I had a lot of issues. I was losing weight, but I got down under 220 pounds from almost probably 280 at that time. And my friends were like, man, you've lost a lot of weight, but you look like crap, dude. You look tired. You look exhausted. You don't look good. So eventually I got to a point like I would when I try to lose weight a lot of times, where football season would roll around. Fall's my favorite season. My game's on. That's my favorite beer time of year. I got all the dark German beers out. All the food, all the fall foods, the cakes and cookies and snacks. Christmas is coming up and the whole deal. So what happened? I go back to old habits. I start introducing more food. And eventually I go right back to where I was. Only worse. So for the next year, I get all the way up to like 290 pounds, which was even worse than I was before. So that's about the highest I was. It was almost 290. I don't think I quite ever got up to 290. But for about a year, I was about 290, almost 290. Around this time, a lot of my buddies are starting the keto diet. They're cutting carbs and they're eating high fat and they're coming to work and they're losing weight. Tons of weight. And I was like, man, that's awesome. I could probably do that. But it's low carb, and carbs are my killer. You know, I was definitely a sugar addict, definitely a carb addict. I did not want to give up beer at all. That was like a lifestyle thing for me, was beer. Not just not alcohol in general, just drinking the beer on the weekends, or watching a game or whatever, going to breweries with friends and stuff. Huge part of my life. I was brewing it. It was a whole thing. I was just a craft beer fanatic, and that does not help at all. That makes it way worse. So my friends are doing research, my friends are doing keto, and I start doing some research, and I came across the carnivore diet as I'm doing keto. A lot of people do. They'll find the carnivore diet while they're doing keto research and stuff, and I was like, this sounds insane. You can't sit there and tell me that people aren't eating vegetables and losing weight, because my whole life I've been brainwashed by the food pyramid and my parents and doctors and everybody telling you got to eat your vegetables, you got to have a high fiber diet, you got to have this and you got to have that. And I saw the Joe Rogan podcast, I saw Jordan Peterson on there, I saw Michaela Peterson on there, I saw Sean Baker on there, and I had gotten to a point where I was hearing this at a time where I was desperate, and I was like, well, this sounds crazy enough that it just might work. So I got to a point where I was like, all right, on my birthday, my next birthday, the next year in April, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try this carnivore diet. I'm going to give it a month, like they say. They say give it a month or 2 months and see if it works. And I was like, all right, on my birthday, I'll give it a shot. Well, my son was wrestling at the time for school, and I went to a wrestling tournament on a Saturday. And like my buddies and I were like having beers in the parking lot or outside the school and stuff. And I just got to a point where I was feeling awful. I was watching my son wrestle, and I was sitting there. And if you ever had a kid wrestling in school, there's some anxiety involved in it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. But I would get really worked up watching. I was like, man, my chest. I start feeling like pain in my chest. And so I'm watching and I'm not feeling good, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, this is really getting me all worked up. I've never had this before in my life. I've watched him play sports his whole life. He's an athlete, and this is the first time I've ever really gone through this kind of anxiety and then this feeling, this pain that I was starting to feel. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So the tournament was over and we got home, and it just stayed there. And I was kind of like, man, this is awful. And so the next day I feel a lot better. I feel pretty good. And then was it the next Monday? Well, the day after that was Monday. It starts coming back again. And I'm like, man, I've got this weird pain. So I get up in the morning to go to work, and I was like, man, it's back again. I think it was kind of coming back the day before, but not like as bad. But that Monday was really bad. So I got in the shower, and then it just hit me so hard I went down to a knee. And I'd never felt chest pain in my life. Never. And my dad has had a heart attack. I had grandfathers who had heart attacks. It runs in my family. And I was like, this can't be right. I'm not even, I was 36, 37 at the time. And I was like, this can't be right. I'm way too young to be having a damn heart attack. But it just was crippling. I got out of the shower. I was sweating profusely. I tried to get dressed, and I'm just like, I'm feeling awful. And I finally told my wife, I'm like, you need to drive me to the hospital. Like, I feel terrible. So we get in the car, and I drive to the hospital. My wife drives me to the hospital, and I get in there, and they start asking me, like, do you have a history of heart attacks in your family? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I've gotten to this point. I'm having a heart attack before I'm even 40. They do the whole iodine MRI scan where they send iodine through your body, and I'm laying there for hours just agonizing, I'm having a heart attack. Oh my God. And the doctor comes in. He's like, hey, well, you're not having a heart attack. He's like, you've got really bad indigestion and heartburn. It's just really debilitating to you, which I'd never had before. I've had some like minor indigestion where I've taken some Tums and it's been okay, but nothing like this. This was like dropped me to the floor bad. And I was like, that can't be right. I was like, I've never heard of indigestion getting this bad. He's like, when it's really bad, it's really bad. He's like, so he issued me Prilosec and scolded me and told me, you need to lose some weight. So I said, to hell with it. I'm starting carnivore early. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do it. This is my rock bottom. And so it was February, and the next day, I started eating eggs for breakfast, bacon for breakfast, no bun with my burgers. I wasn't doing it quite right. I wasn't paying attention to how stuff was cooked in restaurants. I was cooking in bacon grease at home and stuff like that, but I was eating carnivore. I just didn't know all the intricacies of it and everything that goes into it to make it done the right way. And still, I think in the first month I lost 20 pounds. I got down to like 170. And I was like, this is crazy. So by my birthday, which was the day I was supposed to start, I was probably down to about 260. Yeah, I think I said 170 earlier. I meant 270. I was down to 260. And then over the summer, I just kept going. No cheat days. I would maybe have a beer, which I was still brewing the beer, but I wasn't really drinking it. My friends would come over and have some, and I would just once in a while have one. But I was just eating full-on carnivore with no cheat days, and the fat was just melting off me. And that's without really working out. Especially after, like, you know, the thing that happened, then we couldn't go to gyms anymore. Once that, I would get to the points where I couldn't work out that well, and still I would be losing weight, losing fat, visibly putting on muscle without really working hard for it. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this, you know, and I would tell people about it, and I was nuts. They were like, you're nuts, dude. This is not work. Didn't work for you. This isn't the way it is. But I noticed benefits really fast. I had broken my finger. Dislocated my finger on my left hand, and it had bothered me for about a year and a half. The pain was gone fast. Within a month, the pain was completely gone. It's never returned. I've had a lot of ankle problems. I've broken my right ankle a couple times. I probably would roll it and sprain it pretty bad twice a year just from weakness. Just walking off a curb or something, just a freak, it turns, and I'd sprain it. That pain went away. It was constant pain, and eventually that pain went away, and I haven't rolled this ankle in like 3 years. It's crazy. I can't explain it. I'd always have knee pain, knee joints popping. Doing squats was always horrible. I have full extension in my knees now. They don't pop anymore. Elbow, same thing. Had tendonitis in my elbow and my shoulder. Gone. All of it's gone. I had dealt with some eczema, especially around my nose and a little under my eye. And that has gone and not come back. I did notice that stuff kind of come back. I did slip up for a little bit. A couple months. I went on like a weightlifting type diet. I'd followed a couple guys on YouTube who did these kind of high protein standard American diet modified versions of it, and I was going to Walmart and GNC and stuff and buying these like high protein versions of food. I got these like protein donuts and some of this stuff, and eating protein bars and stuff, and all that stuff came back, the skin stuff, and then some of the stomach stuff that I had dealt with for a long time that had gone away kind of came back, and I just felt like crap. And so I went back to carnivore, and all of it cleared up really fast. So those are some of the benefits. The biggest benefit that happened, and this is sort of a personal thing, but so my wife and I had the 2 boys, and then for years we tried for a third kid, and it never happened. And after the second boy was born, we both kind of really got out of shape, and we were never able to have another kid. We'd go to doctors, we'd go to fertility specialists, and they're like, you just can't do it. It just wouldn't work. We wouldn't work. We quit trying. It was hard, really hard for us for a long time. And my wife ended up going carnivore with me. I think after my birthday that first year, she saw some of the benefits and she decided, all right, I'm going to give it a shot too. So we both lost a ton of weight. I think she probably lost 40 pounds. I ended up getting down to 212 pounds at my lowest. My lowest weight was like 215. 215, little around that 212, 215 in that area. And within a year, my wife came up pregnant. And we have a healthy baby girl now. The girl we always wanted our whole lives. Just out of nowhere, suddenly we're pregnant. And we have a baby girl at 40 years old. And it's awesome. It's awesome. It's the best thing that ever happened to us outside of the other two kids. So, between us, that's like 70, it's like 110, 120 pounds of weight loss, I'd say. Probably 110 pounds maybe. And just staying healthy, keeping it off. And it seems like every day I feel better. Every year goes by, I get healthier. I'm putting weight back on now. Through lifting, I lift every day, every morning. I get up, I go down, I work out. I'm back up about 240 right now. That's a lot. I've put on a lot of weight, but it's not bad. I've still got some fat to lose and stuff like that, but it's not really a lot, I'm almost happy with where I'm at, but now I'm kind of at a point where I've leveled off. And so as far as going into the future, I plan on sustaining this diet. I keep it going. I've gotten to the point now I don't miss the foods that I grew up eating and loving. I have no desire to eat pizza. I don't think about it. I don't think about burritos. I don't think about tacos. And I've found ways to make stuff that if I do think I want some stuff like that, I've found carnivore-friendly ways to eat stuff like that. Thanks to a lot of people on YouTube or recipes I've found online and things like that, or things I've just come up with, which I'll address in future videos. I'm going to make more of these videos for you guys. I'm hoping my story inspires some of you. I hope that the things that I talk about on here will get some of you inspired to maybe try this out, especially if you're a dad who's out of shape, wants to play with his kids, can't do it, you're injured, you got old injuries, you eat too much, you drink too much of the beer on the weekends, and you just are okay with trying something new, taking a leap of faith, and getting some discipline in your life and letting go of some habits that you think you can't live without, but I know you can because I've done it. Now, I've come from rock bottom and I've done it. So anyway, that's all I'm going to leave you with today. I don't want to go too long. I was hoping just for about 20 to 25 minutes, and we're about that point. So before I go, this is my first video. So if you guys can do me a big favor, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so when I put new videos out, and I will regularly put more videos out to go over my thoughts on this diet and ways it's helping me out and helping out people that I know and I'm working with. Do that for me. Leave a comment. I'll talk to everybody that leaves a comment. If you have any questions, tell me how this diet may have helped you, or if you're looking to get something out of it, if you're looking to try it out, find a way to maybe make a change in your life, leave me a comment and talk to me. Or I'm on Twitter, Lion Dads. I'm on Facebook. I'll leave links in the description. DM me on those. Like my Facebook page. And we'll go from there. So I look forward to connecting with all of you. And we'll talk about it. And I will see you in the next one. Lion Dads.